BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Here, we're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team. Have faith in that team.
It's peaks and valleys. It can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Tremont Diggs, pick six. Coming, they see it, knocked away. Oh, Gregory! Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
What's up, everybody? Cowboys Nation. We appreciate you tuning into Pick Six Sports. As you can see, there's only 3 of us tonight. Our guy BJ Nix is taking care of some personal things with his family. Hope all is well with him. So you're gonna rock with Spoonie, Mariella, and Professor O today. So first of all, hope everybody had a great Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. Hope you had a wonderful time with your family or with friends or whoever you like to be around this time of year. And the Cowboys gave us all an early Christmas gift with that dub over the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to start with Spoonie because Mariella was in the building. So she has a little bit different perspective than us. So Spoonie, how was your holidays? And how are you doing this week?
Holidays was great. It's always a blessing. The greatest gift of all is to be able to see the holiday. So that was a blessing. Had a great time with the family, but feeling great today. But how about them Dallas Cowboys? OMG. 3rd and 30. That's all I got to say.
Not only 3rd and 30. Well, it was 3rd and 30, but they were like, let's just add on 22 yards on top of that 3rd and 30. Like 30 yards is not enough. Let's just make it 52 with what should have been a DPI at the same time.
Yeah.
Nice. Great. So we're obviously going to chat some Cowboys-Eagles football, but Mariella, how was your Christmas? How have you been?
Yeah, so the week before Christmas was like really hectic for me. So I turned 37 on Tuesday. My friends got me really, really drunk. My brother got me really, really drunk. I had Christmas Eve. I went to the game. I had work assignments due, which is why I missed the show, and I was still half drunk. So yeah, it was great. There was a lot of alcohol involved.
So last week was a good week for Mariella. She had a big birthday, a Cowboys dub, and the experience on Christmas Eve getting to witness all of that. So that's great. So chat, hope you guys are doing well. If you don't mind while you're listening, just click like. It takes 1 second. It's free and it helps support our channel. So we'd appreciate that from you guys. But let's talk about this Cowboys-Eagles victory. In chat, just so you guys know, we have something a little bit extra added for the Cowboys-Titans matchup. We're gonna play some clips live while we're chatting, so you guys have a chance to see what type of personnel groupings they use, what Malik Willis looks like in real-time action, and all that. So before we get into that, start out with your thoughts, Mariella, on the Cowboys' victory. specifically on the offensive side, and then what are your thoughts on the defensive side of the ball?
They started off slow, which is something we've talked about before, and it's so frustrating to watch in person. It's like, oh my God, it's just so frustrating. And for me, like, there was Eagles fans right in front of me and right behind me. And so they were taking every opportunity to like be extra on every play, so that I had to like do 10 times that energy when we did a good play. So, I was so scared, that when we got to 3rd and 30, because I'm like, we haven't been throwing downfield. Like, what if we really needed to get it? I can't remember what exact point it was in the game, but it was a huge point in the game where we really needed to make something happen. And that 3rd and 30, like, they were so excited that we were 3rd and 30. They were like, there's no way you're going to get this, talking all this mess, blah, 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 blah. He's going to throw another interception, blah, 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 blah. And then it was just this perfect pass downfield to T.Y. Hilton. It was like, oh, I almost jumped over the seat, honestly. I almost jumped over the seat. And then it was kind of just like their energy just dissipated for most of the rest of the game, because they really genuinely started getting nervous after that.
Yeah. So on the defensive side of the ball, we had some struggles. We let Gardner Minshew, who is a good quarterback for the record.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over this talk of, well, you beat our backup, because Gardner Minshew could start on probably 6 or 7 teams in the league right now. He had, aside from the interceptions, he played fairly well. And I know saying aside from the interceptions because they are where they are. But what were your thoughts on the secondary shakeup? So we had a little bit of different lineup rotation with the cornerbacks. Saw Bland play on the outside, saw Mackenzie Alexander on the inside, and then we saw Nahshon Wright get some snaps, a lot of snaps actually on the outside. So what were your thoughts from that, from watching it live?
I think it showed, the inexperience showed, really. It also didn't help that, our pass rush wasn't really getting there like we want them to. And, they have some injuries and things like that. So that's part of it. It was hard to watch because it's like, it's going there, and it's like, and sometimes the corner would be right there and it would still be a completion. You're like, how did he come down with that? It's the most frustrating thing.
So Spoonie, let's hear from you. Cowboys, Eagles, what'd you think of the Cowboys offense? Any plays you want to highlight? Mary mentioned the 3rd and 30 completion, which you mentioned as well. If you want to talk about that, obviously feel free to, but was there any plays or anything that the Cowboys did offensively that stood out to you?
I'll be honest with you. One of my favorite things about this was, I know it may sound a little corny, but back to that first interception, and how he responded the rest of the game, it really shows that he's elite. A lot of times, guys think the quarterback will fold. It gets to their head. He went right to the sideline. He came out and said, that's on me. It's not going to happen again. And what he said, listen, he had an amazing game against the number 2 defense. So it was pretty much of him overcoming that first mistake he made. It was a great play by the Eagles, Joshua Sweat. At the same time, when you able to overcome that and have a game the way he had, that's what stood out to me the most. As far as defense, DaRon Bland, oh my God.
Yes.
Listen, heads up to the front office. This guy came in there. Listen, we needed to play a little outside corner with something he hasn't really been doing. He stepped in there, in between him and Nahshon Wright, and really went to work. And that interception was key. It was we always talking about guys getting a chance. When your name is called, take advantage of that opportunity. And this is what he's been doing this last 5 weeks so far. So, I'm very excited about him. I'm excited about where we all see him going and progressing at. Sky's the limit, but hands out to the team. As I saw the highlights from the sideline, you could, if anybody didn't watch, this team was ready. They went on the sideline and just kept each other into the game.
Yeah, they kept saying, let's get a stop.
Yes, and I loved every minute of it. So this wasn't just a division game to me. For them it was personal. So I love it.
One thing I wanted to mention that I did forget was, that last turnover we got. on defense where it gave the ball to the Cowboys. And, we were 3 and out pretty quickly. And I just kept saying, okay, we gave them too much time. We gave them too much time. We gave them too much time. And I was like panicking. I was like, this is how you can lose games, because they had like, I think 1 timeout left and still like almost 2 minutes left. And kudos to the defense for really getting those stops at the end, because, they had previously, pretty much been letting them drive the length of the field. And, I was very proud of them for keeping it, because all they needed was a touchdown, and they went for it a few times and they didn't get it. So it was so nerve-wracking. I talked way too much. I talked way too much during that game for them to lose like that. So thank you for looking out for me, Jesus.
Merry Christmas, Mary Ellen. So, chat, question for you guys. Kellen Moore's game calling. Are you happy with this play calling overall? Obviously, there was the trickery. Didn't go well, but he was aggressive in a game where you probably needed to be aggressive because, yes, Jalen Hurts was out, but they have a top 2 defense. They have lots of Pro Bowl players. They're a good team. They could have clinched the NFC East and the number 1 seed in our stadium. So Eagles fans trying to pretend like this game didn't matter. They were playing with house money. Like it meant something to them. So
yeah, it did. That's what they
question
kept saying.
For you guys. Obviously, yeah, exactly. And when you score 40 points on a top defense, on the team that likely will be the number 1 seed, like that's meaningful. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is or isn't, because we put 40 points on their defense. So what do you guys think of the play calling, chat? And then I want to ask Spoonie and Mary too. Aside from the flea flicker play that was a disaster with Turpin, overall, I thought Kellen called a pretty good game.
Overall, yeah.
Which was good to see, because he's had some games recently where I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we go through lulls in games where we have a drive or 2 where it's hot. You 5 runs, all 5 runs are successful. Then a play action pass, and then you score, and it's great. And then we go through 2 or 3 or 4 series in a row where nothing happens, 3 and outs or 1 first down, and we're punting. I thought we saw more consistency this time from Kellen Moore in the offensive attack, so that was great to see. And then obviously CeeDee Lamb is definitely a number 1 receiver. If there's any question at all by now,
he was good.
He's definitely a number 1 receiver, and CeeDee Lamb he brought his A game. So, Spoonie, did you have any issues with Kellen Moore's game plan or any thoughts you want to share?
Listen, it's the same thing that pretty much BJ said last week. It's you want to be more consistent, like the good OC stuff. Never. It's not about is he trash or what? Listen, he has progressed since the first time he started. Under a better coaching staff, they just keep it consistent. This is something where the Cowboys are close to doing something that even closer than we have done in some years. The NFC is wide open. We need you to be on your A game. We need you to play that checkers and chess match. So we need you to adapt when if the opposing team takes away what you're giving them. We need you to switch it up and still try to be successful. You're not going to win all the time, but the play calls, he hasn't been consistent this year. He has some good games, questionable ones. But, in this Eagles game, aside from that flea flicker, it was great. I was even shocked at the 3rd and 30, the 52-yard pass catch by T.Y. Hilton. CeeDee Lamb wasn't on the field. So, don't know what reason why, but I remember Professor last week you were talking about Kevontae Turpin about getting some playing time, and he was in there. So it just I believe Kellen Moore does have some play calls in the back pocket that he hasn't put out yet, but I just hope for him to be consistent and just moving forward towards the so we can get to what we want to get to. So, but I didn't have a problem this game at all.
Mary, what about you? You were there. You got to see it all happen live in action.
Yeah, shout out to Gamer Salazar. He was sitting next to me. And I was a mess. I was a mess. There was a few times like that flea flicker. I was like, what are you doing? I got a little deterred at the beginning when we were down by 10 because, Eagles are a good team and, getting down by 10, even though it's early, can be a death sentence. But overall, I definitely agree that it was much better this game. And like Sweeney said, I just wanted to be more consistent, especially against good teams.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Neither team was able to run the ball. Both teams tried to run the ball, and both teams stuck with the running game, but neither team was able to effectively run the ball, which was kind of disappointing because the Cowboys have come off multiple weeks where the run game's hitting on all cylinders in the first half and then kind of becomes less efficient as the game goes on. And in this game, we really never got it going aside from the 4th and 1 where they had the speed option to Zeke, who picked up a lot of yards. Aside from that, we didn't really have multiple big gains. Dak did run the ball, which was nice, and he's been running more.
I want him to do more of that.
He's been running more consistently lately. And again, you don't need him to run for 40 and 50 yards a play. Like, he doesn't need to be Justin Fields. It's just that threat that he may run for 7, and now you have a 2nd or 3rd and short. More manageable yards to go situations. I did want to give a quick shout out. Let me pull it up really quickly. But one of our Pick 6 fan members is going to be in attendance tomorrow. Cassie Stewart. So shout out to you, Cassie. I hope you have a great time tomorrow at the game. Be loud, be proud. I don't know if you've been to a Titans game or not before, but I went to the Cowboys Titans game the last time we played there. Rolanda McClain was our middle linebacker at the time, so it's been a while since we played there. But we did beat them, and their fans were super nice. It was cool. Because usually when you go to away games, you get that hostile environment and fans are talking. Their fans were like, "Can I buy you a drink? What do you think of our city? Do you like our stadium? How's your..." Like, they were super nice. It was great.
I've heard it's really. I haven't been in Nashville in a really long time, and not for a football game, but I've heard that like it's really fun to go to a game there and just hang out around the stadium and, in Nashville in general.
Yeah, they were telling me you should go eat at this restaurant, check out this bar while you're here. Like, it was great. It was super nice. So sure you'll have a good time.
And the older folks, let me tell you something. When they know you from out of town, and they'll come and tell you, hey, come over here. Who's your team? I'm a Cowboys fan. Sit down with us. Drinks and conversation all night long. And I'm talking about the hospitality over there is so great. The only thing is barbecue every day is like, I'm tired of eating barbecue chicken, man. I want something else. Other than that, it's incredible. Nashville is an incredible spot, man.
Yeah, so Cassie, I'm sure you'll have a great time. And again, you may have been there before, I don't know. But their fans were super cool when I went, so I hope you have the same experience. They were buying me drinks and giving me suggestions and giving me 5 when we scored. I'm like, this is great. I love you guys. So, a couple Cowboys-Eagles notes I want to talk about. There were some situations where the Cowboys left points on the board. It happens in the NFL, especially when you're playing a good team. One play was Sungate. Dak throws on 3rd and goal, throws a fade to Michael Gallup in the sun, which has been a reoccurring issue, unfortunately, for the Cowboys for years now. Probably impacted that, but it was a predetermined read. We had Zeke go in motion. We had tight bunch on the right side of the formation and one-on-one with Gallup, and we took the shot there, which I'm not upset at all. Numbers were in our favor. I get it. If you watch the playback, Zeke was wide open. It gets a walk-in touchdown. Easiest throw.
I saw that.
Touchdown throw of the year for Dak had he hit it. So that's just something when the Cowboys are watching film, which they probably already done, I'm sure, by this point. You can circle that and say, hey, let's run that play again in the upcoming weeks because we could probably hit on that for a big gain or a big opportunity like a touchdown. So that play, and then there was another play. It was also a 3rd down, and we threw it to Tony Pollard. It was late in the game. It was right after the touchdown, or right after the turnover, when we ended up settling for a field goal that you were talking about, Mary. They had trips left this time. They had Schultz at tight end, and they brought Schultz across the formation, and the 3 on the left side cleared out, and it was wide open for Pollard. Unfortunately, Dak and Pollard weren't able to connect on it, but it was a touchdown, and Camber actually mentioned that exact play. That's what I'm talking about. That play to Pollard, he dropped it.
I could not believe it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Those type of plays, though, are the things that we've been talking about when we talk about Kellen Moore in the offense on scheming guys open. Like, those are 2 situations where we did scheme them open. We didn't hit on either one, and both could have been a touchdown. So just things that the Cowboys could take on, and that means your 40-point win now has 4 extra points in each drive. So now you scored 48 points on the Eagles, which feels even sweeter. But just a couple things right there that we could do differently to capitalize. Overall, Nahshon Wright was kind of the story of the game, I think, on the defensive side of the ball. Deron Bland obviously was the guy making the plays with Jaron Kearse, but Nahshon Wright was a guy a lot of us probably didn't feel good about, especially going against the Eagles with A.J. Brown, Quez Watkins, and Smith. So those guys can make you pay for it, and I thought he held his own. I've watched film 3 times now in the game, and each watch I get a little bit less impressed because he was leaving a lot of separation, but he made plays. His change of direction was better than I expected. He came up and was really good in run support, and I was impressed with that. Thought he was really sound in tackling and had a big tackle in the red zone that forced them to kick a field goal on one drive. So Nahshon Wright overall, I was pretty pleased with, and I would be okay with seeing more of him, which feels weird to say as we're getting close to the playoffs. But overall, I did not feel like he was a liability in his first extended action. So we'll see what that looks like this week, where he should play a lot more. But Mary, Spoonie, what do you guys think of Nahshon Wright?
Oh yeah, I agree. Like I said before, it was sometimes where it was like, why are you playing so far off? But a lot of times they were definitely better than I expected. And I kept saying to the Eagles fans, like, oh, this is our backup. And I'm like, well, you're playing the backup corners. Like, you don't even know who these guys are that he's, that are covering your wide receivers. So
we didn't get the same grace either when we had Cooper Rush and had 3
interceptions
on our half of the field. Nobody said anything about that.
Yeah, and I literally had this whole conversation in the stands. I'm like, yeah, and you beat Cooper Rush, but when's the last time you beat Dak? That was Les Gabriel, because I'm a lot to put up with, y'all. I mean, y'all know this already, but still.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think of Nahshon?
Yeah, for me, you said everything great. You guys said everything great about Nahshon Wright. I also love his IQ. He understands situational football. I go back to the Jacksonville Jaguars game where he understood when one of the players caught a pass, and instead of tackling him, he just stood above him for a little extra clock to run, and then when he tagged him. So that's understanding situational what's going on, and he showed a couple of things like that during the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, it's something where the same thing we talk about Kelvin Joseph. An opportunity is there, you take it and you run with it. The more you keep improving, the more you keep playing, the better chance you're gonna keep as a starter. And this is going on now. These guys will get more playing time moving forward. It becomes that trust factor from the defensive coordinator, and hopefully we can become close to the team that we were that defense from week 1. We become close because now once you get that comfortability, they can risk certain things. It's okay to leave your island if they want to. So that's a positive spot.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to give a shout out to one player who has not had a great year for the Cowboys. It was a free agent signing that a lot of people were excited about, myself included. Anthony Barr. So Barr is not good in coverage. If you get him matched up with Devontae Smith one-on-one, he's going to get beaten. If you get him matched up with Christian Kirk the week before, he's going to get beaten. Run support, that was the best he's played all season. Hands down.
Yeah.
Anthony Barr was super active in run support, and then had a play where he perfectly diagnosed a wide receiver screen that they had and got a tackle for a loss. Yeah. So Anthony Barr, and he had a fumble recovery, which was big. Should have had an interception. So again, opportunities that you left on the field, and the Eagles ended up scoring on that drive right before half. I think it was a field goal, but they still scored points on that drive, which would not have happened had he made the interception. But overall, I do feel like that was Anthony Barr's best game in totality in a long time. So that was encouraging to see. Any thoughts on Anthony Barr from you guys?
I just wish you would have put that in.
No, I agree. He was very active on the field, and that was definitely one of his best games.
Yeah, and then we
need that from him. I'm not sure. I haven't seen how long it's going to be for LVE to be out, but we need him to keep that up. Definitely.
I mean, all signs are pointing that LVE will be there.
Nice.
First round of the playoffs. So
Perfect.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. I don't think it's likely, but depending on what happens this week, there's a possibility he could be a go for Washington, especially if Philadelphia loses this week and the division's on the line. You may see him out there at least in some type of action, but I do think he is probably going to sit out until the playoffs. But yeah, when he comes back, I mean, that's just going to be reinforcements, and cameras right there saying, don't look for LV until the playoffs. So yeah, probably not likely, but You know how football players are. If there's a chance that it could help the Cowboys be the number 1 seed and he's good enough to contribute, may see him out there. And if not, I understand. I'd rather have him healthy. That's the most important thing.
Right, he's on the cords right now. So I'm going to ask you a question. In your mindset, understanding that the division is still up for grabs, what's your percentage from 0 to 100? How do you feel right now, today, of a chance of the Eagles losing out and the Cowboys win out? What's your percentage?
I mean, the Saints, they play the Saints, right?
You got the Saints and Giants. They both, if the Giants win against the Colts, they're in the playoff automatically this Sunday.
I mean, I think the Saints, I haven't seen a lot of their games, but they still play teams pretty tough, if I'm not mistaken.
They won last week.
It's possible. I know they're trying to go ahead and because they didn't clinch the first seed yet. So I think they're going to try their hardest to do that. I would give it a 40% chance.
40.
And that's pretty high because I'm pretty pessimistic.
That is pretty high. I'm actually surprised you said that. So far in the chat, Camber has 60%, Kai has 40%, Cassie has 50%, wow. Rush Turner kind of split the difference with 45%, BLS with 30%. Here's the dilemma. We really probably need the Colts to win this week against the Giants. Because if the Giants win, they've clinched a playoff spot. There's a possibility they could be the 6th seed or 7th seed, but they've clinched a playoff spot. So they may or may not play all of their starters that final game against Philadelphia. So ideally, we need the Saints to beat the Eagles and the Colts to beat the Giants, which I think is possible because we've seen the Colts against us, 21-19 going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. Against the Vikings, 30-point lead at halftime. Blew it, obviously.
Against the Eagles.
But they are a scrappy team that stays in games, so it's possible. It's possible that could happen too. And then Mendoza with the 30%, Todd Corey with the 25%, Gregory with 35%, and our guy Joey V with 55%. So I don't know. I think it's probably lower than what a lot of people are saying. I'm gonna go with more like 20% just because we really need them to lose both games, which I could see them losing one of the two. But the second game is really contingent on what happens with the Giants this week. So we really need the Giants to lose this week, and then that goes from 20 to like 40% or something if that situation happens. So what do you think, Spoonie? You asked the question. Where are you at with it?
I'm at 75%.
75.
Woo, every optimist.
I'm at 75%. Since saying that the last game of the season is going to mean a lot. It really is, and I just have this strange feeling that they're gonna drop this game against the Saints and force it to the New York Giants. But again, it does make sense to root for the Colts this week. That with the Giants play their starters. That I hope that happens. But I really think it's gonna happen. I really do think.
So I have a question for the chat. This was posed in our group chat. I'm not gonna say who brought it up. Just for conversation purposes, if the Cowboys win this week and the Eagles win this week, so the Eagles have wrapped up the number 1 seed in the NFC East at that point, do you as a Cowboys fan want to sit multiple starters the final week of the season for health purposes, but also to keep Green Bay out of the playoffs? What do you think we should do? Because if the Washington Commanders lose, they play the Browns and the Cowboys. If they lose either one of those games and the Packers win out, they can still be a playoff team. So you could intentionally kick them out of the playoffs and rest your starters by doing that. I don't advocate for that, but it was an interesting question, and I thought I'd pass it around the panel, see what people think.
So Packers have to win out?
I believe so. I think the Packers need to win out, and they need Washington to lose one of the 2 games, the Lions to lose, and the Giants losing could also impact it if the Giants lose out. But the easiest path for them is for them to win out and have Washington lose either game.
Yeah, they played their division rivals, Vikings and Lions, the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So those could be tough for them. I would only personally, I wouldn't rest starters just to like hopefully keep them out. I would rest starters to, the guys that might need that little extra rest and not to aggravate any kind of soreness or injury. Yeah. And obviously certain guys, even if they play, maybe not play them the whole time.
What are you doing, Spoonie? You sitting him or not? Because that's a good point too. BLS brings up momentum going into the playoffs, because the Cowboys, hypothetically, assuming we win tomorrow, will have won 4 games in the month of December, which is crazy.
Nice.
They'd be 4-1 in the month of December. And then if you win out, now suddenly you've won 6 of your last 7 games. You're really hot going into the playoffs. If you decide to rest starters and let Washington beat you, it doesn't end your momentum, but it definitely has some impact on that. So what would you do, Spoonie? Are you resting players to guarantee that they're not getting in, or do you not worry about that?
You see, it is a thing. If Green Bay were to get in, they would be the lowest seed, right? By them being the lowest seed, they can take care of dirty work twice. Go to Minnesota, go to Philadelphia, or whatever. They can clean house well, and we have to face them. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. Every time we see him, it's a problem. You know what? No. Rest our players. Effort. I would do on a pitch count, see how the game is going, pull some guys out little by little. The main guys like Michael Parsons, 4 quarters done. I would just go on the pitch.
Yeah, certain guys, I think they might need the rest. They might benefit from getting the rest. Just to come into the playoffs feeling that much more healthy, I think will be crucial. Because some of the guys, especially on defense, haven't been the same the last, 4 or 5 games. You know what I'm saying?
And that's something too, when you talk about the load management aspect of it.
Right.
We're about to jump into the Titans. And if you paid attention at all today or yesterday, you probably know the Titans are resting a lot of players.
A lot of guys.
And we're going to talk about why they're doing that in a second.
Right.
Hypothetically, the Cowboys could jump out early on them tomorrow, start pulling some of the starters in the 3rd quarter or 4th quarter to give them some rest, because they're also coming off of a short rest just playing on Saturday. Now you have a Thursday. It's a quick turnaround. And then obviously you have the playoffs not far out. If you do that this week and then do the exact same thing next week, you have no momentum going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different angle of it too. So I just thought it was an interesting question. I didn't think about it, but you could, in theory, intentionally say, Aaron Rodgers, we've seen enough of you. We've played you before. We don't want to worry about that. Let's just get you out of here and rest players. But if you do that, you also hamper the momentum. So it was just an interesting question somebody posed. I thought I'd run it by you guys.
That's great. Listen, it's a great question, because do you want an opponent that you may have to face down the line that gives you problems? So it's not to be petty, but I think Mike McCarthy will get a W that will make him feel kind of better.
Right. All right, so we're about to jump into the Titans game. 2 things we're going to do really quickly. If you haven't seen, you may have seen this in the offseason, but the Cowboys have a brand new alternate helmet that they are debuting tomorrow with the Color Rush jerseys. I personally love them. It's all over Twitter. Seems like most people love them, but if you haven't seen them yet, they've been hailed the Arctic icy uniforms, or the Arctic chill, something like that. But they're an all-white combination. So it's not the exact same helmet that they wore for Thanksgiving. This one has the outline around the star and a white face mask. But I think it's a super clean look. I love it personally. Just want to pull it up there for anybody who hasn't seen it, but they are debuting those new white alternate helmets tomorrow night, Thursday Night Football, with the Color Rush jerseys. I love how clean and simple they are. You got the matching navies.
Yes, I like that.
For me, because I don't like how our uniforms don't match. The white combination, it just looks super clean. I love it personally, but I wanted to put it up there for anyone who hasn't seen it. So what do you guys think? You guys feeling these uniforms, not feeling them? What do you guys think of that? Icy white.
Love it. I like that icy white, yeah.
Beautiful. Again, the best uniform in all sports.
I love it. Hopefully this is something we see more next year, because it's an alternate look. The NFL was saying it's a no-go with the helmets for years because of concussions, and now they're like, oh, we're just kidding. It doesn't matter. Let's bring that revenue in. Let them wear the extra helmets. So it's kind of funny.
It's nice especially with a W, we get this W right behind it. We're gonna be looking stylish, looking nice.
Definitely need to get the W.
So it's looking like the chat is loving those uniforms too.
Yes.
So we're on the same page there. All right, so let's talk injuries. I don't know if you guys can see that. If not, I'm sorry, it's kind of small. But the Titans have a super long list of DNPs, and they are sitting a lot of players. Mary, don't worry about looking at it. We can just quickly go over it this way.
I can't see.
Derrick Henry is doubtful, not expected to play. They're basically sitting everybody that they can, and the reason for it is no matter what happens this week for the Titans, the next week, week 18, they have to beat the Jaguars to win the division and make the playoffs. So it doesn't matter if we beat them or not, or they beat us or not. It still comes down to the final week anyways. The Jaguars are not sitting their starters, according to Doug Peterson, but Vrabel is sitting multiple starters this week, including Simmons, their beast defensive tackle, who was one of the players I was most worried about playing this week. Christian Fulton, one of their starting cornerbacks. There's a super long list of guys that are DNPs, not officially out, but will be out. And then there's a pretty sizable list of guys that already are out. So on the Cowboys side, we have Tony Pollard, who's dealing with a thigh bruise. It looks like he's good to go, according to Jerry Jones. Dr. Jerry Jones, I should say. Looks like we will see Tony Pollard. How much we see of him, I don't know. Question in the chat, which is exactly where I was going with it, is Malik Davis's coming out party this week? It could very well be so, because I think the Cowboys would love for him to take a decent amount of that workload throughout this game. LVE is officially out. He's the only player that's officially out of the guys that you'd expect. There's been some other guys like Micah Parsons that we've seen with limited. The only other guy that's kind of still in question is Sam Williams. He just had a serious car accident. Thank God everything was okay. He just had a concussion, some lacerations on his face, things like that. But he's lucky to be alive, healthy, able to be home with his family and all that. Not sure if he's playing or not. But it looks like we should have a significant advantage in terms of just sheer talent versus the other team. They have a lot of guys that are pretty good players that are going to miss due to injuries or due to just load management, resting them for the final week. Those two names right there, Jeffrey Simmons and Derrick Henry, are by far the two biggest names that they have out. And then obviously they have Ryan Tannehill already out with injury. They have two different offensive linemen, one of their starting tackles and then one's a backup tackle, that are both already out for the game. So you never want to overlook an opponent, because we were also heavy favorites to beat the Houston Texans. We know how that game came down to the wire. So you really never know in the NFL. But this is a game that all signs point to Dallas should be able to handle that. Thoughts on this matchup, Spoonie, and then we'll go to Mariella.
Again, you can't overlook this Titans team. The best thing to do is get in there, take care of business, so that way you can try to rush as much players as they can, depending on how the game is going. This is still a physical Titans team that hit them out. And especially where the Cowboys, we just finished playing a physical team with the Philadelphia Eagles on a short week. So you go into this Titans game, you're gonna have young players who are getting a chance to play because of the opportunity for themselves. So you're gonna have guys on that team who's gonna give all they can. So this is why the best thing to do is get in there, put some points up there, make it where this Titan team know that they don't have a shot coming back. You want the game plan to change where, listen, if we're going to run this ball, let's run out the clock. We all want to go home. That's how bad you got to get in there and just whip their ass and just go home. Again, don't overlook these players they have on this team. Like Malik Willis, he's the one that make a name for himself. Hassan Haskins, he's supposed to be becoming the starters for this game. These are kids that are going to take every opportunity they can to look good, for this roster. So hopefully we can get in there, take care of business, get a nice, comfortable lead, and start putting some players. Let them rest for the rest of the game.
What do you think, Mary?
It's definitely a very winnable game with them sitting. One of the things, like someone else said, that we were mainly worried about is Derrick Henry and Simmons. But we still have trouble stopping the run. Like we've let no-name running backs run all over us before. So I don't fully find comfort in Derrick Henry's setting, just because their backups could still do something against us if we're not prepared for it. So I definitely, like Spoonie said, I want to get a fast lead and never let up, because I'm worried about the run pretty much every game, even when we feel like the O-line isn't good, even when we feel like the running backs aren't as good. We just are so inconsistent stuck in the run game. So that's my main focus for this game, and just having a pretty clean game. I want to see Dak not make the interception mistakes. I want to see Kellen Moore, be more consistent in his play calling. Like, is he going to fall back again? It's going to get weird again. And I want to see the defense take advantage of them missing some of those players on offense.
Right. This is a game, too. You're facing one of the best run defensive teams in the league. So it might be tough sledding for the run game. But again, not having Simmons may impact that, where there may be opportunities to run the ball that there weren't prior. But I do have some concerns that we may have our second game in a row where it's just an ugly running game, because that's what the Titans do. They want you to pass the ball on them. They want to take away the run. That's how Vrabel's always coached. That's what is intertwined in his DNA. It's what he knows. So I do think this may be a game where you see the offense, whether it's Dak or maybe Cooper Rush later on, air it out more than fans may expect going into the game. And I think there's definitely going to be some opportunities for big plays, because their secondary is not great. They do have a really good safety. Cornerbacks are okay, but they've been very susceptible to getting beat by deep passes this year. In fact, the Cowboys this season have given up 35 explosive passes. That's any passing play over 20 yards. So 35 for us. They've given up 51. So the Titans can definitely be beaten deep. One thing that's going to be really interesting, too, with a young quarterback like Malik Willis is there will be opportunities for the Cowboys pass rush to start getting home again, which is welcome from a lot of fans, myself included. The number that sticks out for comparison purposes, TTT, which is time to throw, Dak Prescott's average time to throw, meaning the time that he catches the snap or takes the snap under center to releasing the ball, is 2.6 seconds. The league average is about 2.58. Malik Willis is 3.52 seconds, 3.5 seconds from the time he gets the snap to releasing the ball. So he holds the ball for an eternity. There's definitely going to be ample opportunities when they do pass the ball for us to be aggressive. In last week against the Texans, I should say, they threw the ball 33 times. So you should see the pass rush get home this week, and that should open up some opportunities. And Deron Bland got a little cue from our guy Mendoza in the chat mentioning his interceptions this season. If he gets one more interception this season, which will be 6 on the year, he'll be the first Cowboys rookie with 6 interceptions since 1981, when the Cowboys had 2 players that did it. They had Everson Walls and Michael Downs. Downs had 7 interceptions, and Everson Walls had 11 that year. So first Dallas Cowboys rookie since 1981 with 6 interceptions in his rookie year. So hopefully he gets one this week or next week so that he can have that feather in his cap. But either way, he's had a great rookie season. So,
and he didn't even play in every game, right? Like,
yeah, early in the year when we had Brown healthy and Jordan
didn't
Lewis
really play,
healthy, he played, just not a high snap count.
Yeah.
But as you guys can see, we have the game on for you. You can see the Texans-Titans right there on cue. A big play for the Texans, and it was pretty easy. That's how you beat this team. You throw the ball on them, and you get after their run game and shut it down, and then that's basically all they have to offer. So Cowboys should be able to get out of this game pretty easily. But as you see, the Titans' game plan is to load up the box and make you throw the ball. And with the Cowboys' receiving core, I welcome that. Let's do it. Got some questions in the chat. Well, not really a question, but I want to ask it as a question. Kai says, Bland definitely needs Defensive Rookie of the Year odds. And then we got Joey saying Bland for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And then we have Rush saying the same thing. Do you guys think there's any chance that he will win Defensive Rookie of the Year? Or do you think he should win Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I don't think he will, because most people don't even know who he is. It's funny, though, they mentioned that on Sounds from the Sidelines. They were like, Defensive Rookie of the Year, because, I mean, he's not just, a lot of his interceptions, he's literally going for it. He's it's not like, how people like to say lucky interceptions. He's literally going for it and grabbing it. And for a rookie to just come in and have to do that, that's not easy. And to have the success he's had, it's not easy. So, I mean, I'm biased. I would definitely say he needs to be in the conversation. But I think, even the average NFL analyst is not going to think about Deron Bland in that way.
I agree with the chat. We're seeing Sauce Gardner.
Yes, Sauce Gardner's really big.
He has the draft status, right? He has that draft pedigree, being a top 5 pick. He's played really well this year. I'm pretty sure he's going to win it. There is an opportunity where Bland could seize it if he has pick 6 or maybe a fumble recovery, scoop and score, something like that, like a big statement play to add on to his resume. Maybe he sneaks in the conversation even more and steals it, but it looks like it's going to be Sauce Gardner. Do you disagree with that, Spoonie?
You know what? Listen, you made a great statement with that. Sauce Gardner, he's been doing it for the Jets. At the same time, Deron Bland's giving you results and in key moments. I'm not saying Sauce hasn't done that. I know he played a great game in Green Bay. He made a great highlight over there. But for actual rookie, a 6th-round draft pick, these guys on the list, Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, these are first-round guys. Rick Wooten, I think Wooten went in the 2nd round. Am I correct, Professor Mary?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, I think he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick. I think he was a late 2nd round pick.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you have Deron Bland. He basically is a 6th-round draft pick. And if any writer who wants to look past these before these games, in the preseason, he was catching interceptions as well. So, this guy's making a mark that when he's on the field, expect for him to get an interception. I will put him up there. I definitely will, because a lot of the guys who are on this list, they kind of cooled down a little bit. They cooled down a little bit. So, winning it is one thing. Don't get me wrong. Sauce has been all year round. But Deron Bland, listen, taking it away. So I would definitely put him on the list. It's late in the season. I get it, but I will put him on the list.
Yeah, and right now he has 5 interceptions. The league leader has 6. So it's possible he could definitely jump up there. There's 2 players tied with 6 interceptions. I don't think he'll win it. I think it's going to go to Sauce Gardner, but there's still an opportunity. If he has a big game or 2, who knows? And there it is, too. Appreciate that, Massey. So he was a 5th-round pick as well. Tariq Woolen. Yeah, two small school guys balling out there. So that's definitely true. And what's funny, this draft class, I'll be the first one to say it. I did not love this draft class. I didn't. There were better players, in my opinion, on the board, and some of those guys I still think may become better players down the road. But Bland is a guy that I think when you look at the names, a lot of fans were excited about Sam Williams. They were maybe excited about Tyler Smith or not, depending on how you felt about that draft pick. And then Jalen Tolbert was a name people were excited about. And then Damone Clark was another name. We felt like he was a steal, not being a 2nd-round pick because of the spinal fusion issue. And getting him in the 5th round felt like a steal. And then obviously Ridgeway was a fan favorite for a lot of people too. Bland was kind of one of the forgotten guys in the mix. And he's been arguably the best or one of the best, depending on how you feel about Tyler Smith this year. So this draft class, early dividends, has been phenomenal.
I agree. Definitely.
All right. So in theory, assuming that the Cowboys are able to get up early in this game, do you think that the Cowboys will pull players in the second half? Let's say that they have a 14, 17-point lead, something like that. Early on, do you want them to pull players, or do you want them to just ride it out and guarantee the win?
When you say early on, how early are you thinking?
Like halftime, mid-third quarter, something like that.
No. I think for me, the lead has to be bigger, especially at halftime. Too much can happen after halftime. That's a whole nother half. The lead needs to be way bigger. Like it needs to be Colts, Vikings 30-point lead for me to consider sitting my starters, at least on offense. but I think, definitely our defense. I mean, we've seen our defense give up 14 and 17-point leads this season. So,
Yeah.
No.
Spoonie, what do you think?
For me, I'm with Mary. It has to be a big touchdown, at least a 4-touchdown lead. But for me, I would start in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I'm with Massey. Fourth quarter. Do it the same way we did with the Philadelphia Eagles last year at the end of the season. They started pulling guys by the end of the third quarter once.
Yeah, and for me, I think this is going to be one of those situations where the flow of the game is going to matter, right? And you don't – it's not like a line change like they do in hockey where you put in 11 backups suddenly at one time. This is where you say, okay, we're up by 17 or 21, like Camber mentioned, hypothetically in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I play Malik Davis with the starting offensive line. I'm not benching everybody, but I'm doing that. And now I'm pulling CeeDee Lamb later on and letting T.Y. Hilton get more snaps.
Right.
And that's kind of how I would manage it. I'm not really doing wholesale changes to the lineup because I want to win the game, because you have no chance at the 1 seed and no chance at the NFC East if you don't win this game. It's still important to us.
Right.
So there's no way that I'm resting and making wholesale changes unless we have either a huge lead or if something comes up where, maybe situationally you pull a player here or there. Maybe if they start getting to Dak later in the game and you have a big lead, you put in Cooper Rush and leave the rest of the starters out there. That's more so what I had in mind.
Yeah, it's a great plan. I mean, again, you don't want to get guys be, too laid back and all. You want them to keep ready for every game. At the same time, you want to protect them. So, like I said, just get in there, get to work, score some points. Let it be known the game is over. We can pull some guys and move on to the next week.
Right. So let's get to some score predictions, player of the game, bold predictions, all that stuff. So let's start with the bold prediction for this game. I'm going to start with the resident lady, the queen of Pick Six. Well, actually, we have two queens. We have Camber. She's not on the show. She's the queen of this Wednesday night show. No disrespect to Camber, who's also a queen. Mary, what's your bold prediction for this game?
42-19.
Okay, so that's a score prediction. So we'll do score predictions and then we'll do bold predictions. 42-19, blowout for Mariella. Spoonie, what you got? Score predictions.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna take it easy today. I'm gonna go 35-9.
35-9. Weird score, but I love it. So only field goals or a touchdown to safety for the Titans. Cool. So the chat so far, we have Mendoza with the 30-17. Our guy Aaron, shout out to him. 28-9. So he has the 9. You just have one more touchdown extra. So you guys are kind of on the same page. Kai and Mendoza, same page. 30-17. Amber is with Mariella with the 40 burger. 41-16. Our guy Crispy Bacon. 30-13. Aaron says, I don't think the Cowboys score 40 because they're going to pull guys too. Makes sense. 37-10 by Gregory. 27-point win. So if that happens, that's definitely a scenario where you're pulling a lot of starters as throughout the course of the game. And then our guy Joey V with the Malik Davis takes one to the house. 40-17. Massey with the teaser. Love it.
Nice.
Join us tomorrow with the midday show to get my prediction. Make sure to join the midday show. Speaking of that, because it's going to be Camber, Massey, and Kelly. K9 is going to be joining them. So it's going to be a really fun show. So definitely tune into that. If you have not subscribed, please feel free to do so and click the notification bell, and that will prompt you when their show goes live. Or you can just check them out on Twitter if you're not already following them. Make sure to do that, and they will put it on their Twitter, and you can follow that way. But tune in tomorrow to get Massey's prediction. Todd Corey with the 26-19. So he has a much closer game than anybody else. So that's kind of a nail biter there. That's an interesting one. I don't know if the Cowboys are up 26-10 and the Titans have a late surge against backups.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to give my score prediction.
About the Texans game.
Yeah, so he's kind of going the same. Yeah, exactly. He's going Texans game vibes for that.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I want to say 40. I would love to see a 40 burger. I don't think we'll get that far. I'm thinking more like 28 points. But I think that we mostly shut down the Tennessee Titans. So I'm going to go 28-6.
Ooh, I could do
28.
that.
That's what I'm going for.
I could sleep at night after that.
I think Malik Willis is going to have a rough game tomorrow. It's going to be not a welcome to the NFL moment because he's started now 2 games. But I think that this is going to be a game where he's like, I haven't seen a pass rush like this. And our pass rush has not been like this in weeks. And I think we kind of get a perfect storm of all of that going at one time. So we got our score predictions out. We're going to start with Mariella. Mariella, what is your bold prediction for the game?
Well, you kind of alluded to it. We've been missing and getting the sacks on defense. And, they're sitting some O linemen. They got a young rookie QB. This is a great time to momentum going back for that D line and everybody just having a little sack lunch. So I say 5 sacks.
5 sacks. Love it. Call your shot. Is this the Micah game? Is this where everybody's getting sacks? Like, what are you feeling from the
I feel like this is like a 2-sack Micah game, and it's just going to be dispersed after that.
Okay, so we got a 5 sacks performance coming up. Spoonie, what you got?
I think Cavante Turpin takes 2 to the house.
Oh, Lord, please let that happen.
Super bold.
2 to the house. I think it's this game.
Love it. Kai with a bold prediction. Bland 2 pick sixes and a Turpin return. If he gets 2 pick sixes, that question that we chatted about earlier on defensive player rookie of the year completely changes. If he has 2 pick sixes and now has 7 interceptions for the year, with 2 of those being house calls, he very much garners rookie of the year consideration at that point. So that would be great. And obviously Turpin getting an opportunity to. TC915 with the beautiful, bold, dynamic prediction of Micah ends the drought, gets 3 sacks, 6 sacks overall for the team. Love that.
Nice.
Mendoza's feeling you, Spoonie. He's feeling it. One of those games I honestly thought we'd see KT go off. Titans are last in opponent punt return yards, I believe. In the middle of the pack in kick return. KT is going to have 2 return touchdowns. Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's get Gregory real quick. Bold predictions. Zeke rushes for 3 touchdowns and 100-plus yards. So what would be cool about that is Zeke has scored a touchdown in 8 consecutive games. It's the longest streak since Emmitt Smith. You may remember him, number 22, the GOAT, did it 11 straight games at one point. So Zeke having 8 games with a rushing touchdown would extend that to 9, and then maybe potentially could tie or break it depending on how far we go in the playoffs. So that's a cool one. I would love to see that. My bold prediction. Here we go. We'll get Cameron up there too. I'm saying TY 2 touchdowns because this secondary is bad.
I dig
love that one. I could see that happening because I definitely feel like the Cowboys are going to explore the T.Y. Hilton thing. We heard from Mike McCarthy, the ramp-up period's over. But we're going to put them out there. So that would be cool to see.
That has to be like a good feeling for T.Y. and I mean just the team in general. You know, he hasn't played all season. We all know he's had issues with his injuries. And for him to come in when we needed it really, really bad and to make a play like that really helped us to seal the game. I mean, that's a huge – it was big for this game, but that's just huge going forward too, for his confidence, for Dak's confidence in him, for the coach's confidence in him. That's great for the offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Miss Mary, I got to ask you.
What up?
When Dak completed that pass to T.Y., did it really suck the air out of Philadelphia?
Oh, man.
I mean, I just got to know the people around me. How did they take it? Because I saw a lot of reaction on video, and I was laughing my ass off.
It was hilarious because, like I said, it was like a couple or a brother and sister Eagles fan right in front of us, and it was like 4 or 5 right behind us, and so you know, they were like yelling and screaming. Like when we got to 3rd and 30, they're like, yeah. And, you know, we getting the ball back and talking all this shit. And then that happened. And it was just like, we're all watching it sail through. And everybody just started jumping and they just all sat down.
Wow. Oh, man.
That's awesome. So, our guy Massey put it up here. There's a quick correction on the second part, so we'll get to that. But Zeke needs 170 yards to reach 1,000 yards in the season. Tony Pollard needs 12. Highly likely Tony Pollard gets to 1,000 yards this week. And then it looks like Zeke, assuming he gets half of that or more this game, is definitely well in line for that, depending on what happens that final game of the season too. So that would be pretty cool to see. Dak Prescott needs 2 touchdown passes whenever. It could be tomorrow. That would be great. To tie Troy Aikman for second most passing touchdowns in franchise history, which would be pretty cool. And if he has 3 or more throughout the course of the season, he'll be second only to Tony Romo. So that would be a big milestone for him too. So appreciate that assist right there, Massey. So my bold prediction, Dalton Schultz gets a touchdown reception. Jake Ferguson gets a touchdown reception. Peyton Hendershot gets a touchdown reception. I think all 3 of our tight ends are going to have a day tomorrow. I just do. I feel like there's opportunities for this defense or for this offense to pass the ball on the Titans, and I'm going 3 for 3. All 3 tight ends get a touchdown. Sorry, Sean McEwen, maybe next week against Washington, but I'm going for the Titan room. This is the tight end game. We're going to get 3 touchdowns, 1 from each of those guys. Massey said, don't forget McEwen. Don't forget him. He's been phenomenal as a run blocker this year.
Yes,
I would love to see him get that opportunity, but I don't think we're going to get 4 tight end touchdowns in one game, but that would be crazy if we did. I feel like 3 is already a bold prediction, so I'm going with McEwen blocking maybe. But Hendershot, Ferguson, and Schultz each getting a touchdown. And then our guy Kai says, big man TD? We saw that, right? Terrence Steele last year. We've done it before. Yeah. Last year we had Connor McGovern running pass routes, so it could happen. I don't know if we do it this week. It would be kind of cool to do it this week because of what Vrabel did when he played for the Patriots. Vrabel is a linebacker. They played him as a tight end in situations and threw the ball to him. So it'd be kind of a cool nod to history to do it back against him. So maybe Luke Gifford or somebody playing, some special team snaps, getting an opportunity for something like that for the tight ends. And then Todd Corey said, Nashawn gets an interception.
Ooh, that would be great.
I would love to see that.
That would be great.
We got our score predictions. We got our bold predictions.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Or maybe you were going to get to this if you were. I'm sorry, but do we know who the refs are?
I do. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Every week I put that out there. So we have Sean Hochley.
Oh, okay.
Cowboys all time, just in case you guys want to know. So his crew throws 12 penalties a game, 105 yards per game, which both are slightly above league average. Yeah. Not by a huge margin, but they are. He called 2 games last year. You may remember them. The Tampa Bay Bucs game to start the season and the Las Vegas Raiders game. We had 25 penalties combined in those 2 games. 25 penalties. All time, we are 3-8 when his crew calls our games.
Yeah, I hate him.
Not a fan of him at all. So good chance we get him in the playoffs because that's what the NFL does. But that's our referee for this week is Sean Hochley.
Oh boy. Hopefully this won't be like the Texans game, at the last minute. Oh God. These penalties keep us out the game. God.
Oh Lord, it's bad. It's so bad.
If it makes you feel better, the home team wins games when his team calls it 49% of the time. It's a 490 win percentage, which means the home team loses more often than they win when his team calls a game. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he is out to get them. It's sometimes just luck of the draw and what games you have. Right. But yeah, that's the numbers. That's what we have refereeing our game this week, which is interesting because the Cowboys have been better.
Yeah, not
with penalties recently. Gotten that cleaned up for the most part. So, that's kind of where we're at with that index card back. So he is actually retired now. He does not referee in the NFL anymore. He does. Is it college football or CBS. I forget which network. One of the networks. He is the phone a ref where they ask him for his opinion on challenges or close calls and things like that. So unfortunately, he's not still refereeing in the NFL. All right, cool. So let's end it with our player of the game. We're going to start with Spoonie this time. Spoonie, who is your player of the game this week? Chat, let me know who you guys have too.
Oh, Kavontae Turpin. He's taking 2 to the house.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Does he also get some receiving yards this week? Because this might be an opportunity for him to get some. We worked him into the game plan later in the game last week.
You know what, Professor? Why not? Cowboys Nation, we all keep asking, when is Kavontae get some offensive plays? You know what? Yes. May I extend my bold prediction? I'm going to extend it. He will have 3 touchdowns.
Oh, 3.
3 total. 2 kick returning. Okay? 2 kick returns and 1 offense. There you go.
2 kick returns, 1 offense. Love it. And that would be great for him too, because he
would be awesome.
The Pro Bowl returner in his rookie season. So it would be pretty cool for him. He had a big return last week against the Eagles, called back because of penalty.
And that's great. That's great momentum going into the, towards the postseason. Like, finally you break it through and you get it. You've made the Pro Bowl. It's just like boom, 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 boom. It'd be great.
So Mariella, who is your player of the game?
I'm going to go offense. I'm going to, we talked about how bad the secondary is. I already talked about T.Y. Hilton. I'm going with him.
T.Y. Hilton. Nice. Amber had T.Y. Hilton with 2 touchdowns, so I think that's her player of the game. Oh, I apologize. Should not have guessed. I'm saying it's
tank time. I like that one too.
Love that. TC915 says Micah, 3 sacks, 9 tackles. Yeah, he's probably player of the game if he has 3 sacks, 9 tackles. I like that one.
Yeah.
They're going to try Turpin throwback pass again. I can feel it. I'm an aggressive play caller, in nature. That's kind of who I am. So I didn't hate that call. It was just a disaster. The edge came off. I think it was a defensive back. Came off the edge clean with no block, and it was just doomed from the get-go. But I actually didn't hate that play call. I know a lot of fans disagree because we lost a lot of yards, but I'm actually cool with that. Gregory says Zeke. Like it. So I'm going to go with, let's see, I have 3 tight ends, each getting a touchdown. So I guess that means Dak Prescott's player of the game because he has 3 touchdown passes. So I'm going to go with Dak, player of the game. I would love it to be Nahshon Wright. I would love it to be Bland with the 2 pick sixes that Kai called out. I would love to see it be Tank. That would be phenomenal. So that would be great. And then Camber says, just let Turpin have a jet sweep. What I like about that is we chatted about this last week on the show, and I think the week prior. Early in the year when Michael Gallup was out, and we had to play Turpin early in the rotation, we showed jet sweeps to Turpin, and we showed jet sweep motions to Turpin that were play action passes, and Turpin ran a wheel route, and we never tried the wheel route. Never. It's not on film. The wheel route is, but we never attempted to pass to him. I would love to see us bring that one back. Probably not this week. I would like to back pocket that. We can run the jet sweep this week to show that look on tape. But against Washington, or preferably in the first round of the playoffs, dial that one back up because it's on film, but we have not tried it on film, and that might be an opportunity you could capitalize. And Dak's been phenomenal on wheel passes all year when we're running wheel routes, especially to the tight ends. I would love that. And then Todd Corey said, I'm liking Curse as player of this one. Curse had a great game last week, so if he could do that too, that's some big momentum for him going into the playoffs. And then Sam says, don't waste our Pro Bowl returner on offense. I mean, I don't think anybody's talking about 20 snaps a game. But
yeah, he's just going to play, a few.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all we have tonight, folks. Again, hope all is well for BJ. He was in the chat, so hopefully that's a good sign. He's dealing with some personal stuff with the family, so hope all is well there. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. If you haven't clicked like, please do so. Cost you nothing. It helps boost our channel and get us out there for everyone. And somebody in the chat said we had a late-minute substitution. Nix was out, so we activated Mariella. Mariella is always active. It's just game-to-game, day-to-day situation. We have to see
game time decisions sometimes.
Game time decision. Always do the pregame warm-ups. You start her. If she has a work meeting or is vacationing around the world, you let her sit out that week. Before we end this, Spoonie, do you have a Spoonie sermon in mind?
Oh, yes.
Let's go.
Get it.
That's the perfect way to end this. So let's end it with a Spoonie sermon, and then we will catch you guys later. Let's go ahead and get Spoonie right there on the bill. This is the wrong person. Let me. Bam! There you go, Spoonie. The floor is yours.
Cowboy Nation, I want to start off by saying I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. I know we was happy. We beat the Philadelphia Eagles. We scored 40 on the Eagles' number 2 defense. Great. On to the Tennessee Titans. Now, Nashville, Tennessee fans, listen, I was out there a couple of years ago for the NFL draft. You guys are great. I have no beef with y'all. None whatsoever. I do have beef with the Tennessee Titans, especially one particular player. See, we do have unfinished business. See, in everybody's house, we have rules, right? In some houses, they say, take your shoes off the floor. We don't want to track no shit on our floor. Well, a certain player from Tennessee came to our house and he tracked some shit on our floor. Not only our floor, but the middle of our star. Let me refresh your memories. Now, the last time a player did that, as Miss Maddie would say, we didn't tuck him, we hanged his ass. So, with that being said, Tennessee Titans, I don't care who's not playing tomorrow. I give no shits.
Ooh.
Understand one thing. Understand this. Anytime a player comes to the Dallas Cowboys house and disrespects the star, it's personal. See, that roster in 18 is not the same roster you're going to face tomorrow. Understand that. This is a different roster. See, that 18 roster, a little bit soft. This roster has a bunch of dogs. Since you want to dance on our star, we're going to come to Nashville, Tennessee and dance on your asses. Oh, 100%. You think you're resting players for this Jacksonville Jaguars game? We're going to get in there and take your fucking souls because you're going to feel you won't win that game. That's how bad it's going to be tomorrow. See, the good news is that you will be on national TV, so the audience will get to see this. The bad news is we're going to embarrass y'all. We're going to dance on y'all. You will understand what it means to be embarrassed and disrespected. See, sometimes we got to make an example, and you will be part of that example. As I said last week, Cowboy Nation, we won the battle against Philadelphia, but we're still fighting this war. Tennessee, you're the next stop. And it's time to enjoy some barbecue and dance on your asses tomorrow night.
Dance on your asses. Facts.
Love it, Spoonie. Appreciate that. Chat, again, we appreciate you guys rocking with us. We will be back Friday. Obviously, we're not going to have a show tomorrow, so enjoy the game tomorrow. Let's go, Cowboys. Cassie, have a great time since you'll be in attendance. We will be on Friday night. And again, make sure to tune in tomorrow afternoon. We have the midday show with Massey, Camber, and Kelly K9. Kelly is super entertaining. If you have not followed this dude on Twitter, he's hilarious. He always has a lot of energy and a lot to say. And then Massey and Camber are phenomenal as well. So the three of them together will be must-watch YouTube entertainment. So definitely tune into that tomorrow. We will catch you guys later. Pick 6 to the house.
Bye.